up your engine! Today I'm hopefully going to show you how to get a motorcycle running that sat for years. I gave this to my son years ago. It's been sitting there collecting dust ever since. First thing, we'll put air in the tires. Particular one is 33 in the front, 36 in the rear. Well, it's still got 20 psi. We'll bump that up to 33. And the back one was the same. Now we got to push it out in the sun so we can see what we're doing. Luckily, it's got a hand grab and I'm not as weak as I look. Too bad motorcycles don't have reverse. And out we go with the dirty motorcycle. Now, normally you're going to have to either replace the battery or charge it up, but this has a very interesting battery in it. We'll turn the key. And it is a lithium iron phosphate. And look what else is in there. A dead mouse. Here's the weird thing. This thing's been sitting there around 4 years or so. Watch this. Since it's a lithium iron battery, not ion but iron, it's lithium iron phosphate. They're electronic batteries. They don't have any battery acid. And watch this. When I go and turn it, the idiot lights come on, and what happens when I push the starter button? It still cranks it over pretty good. So we're not going to have to charge this one up yet, but we got to go in a gas tank. It had gas in it. I'm sure whatever's left in it is more like turpentine than gasoline. So lo and behold, what Japanese technology it has. And as we look inside, we can see there's a little bit of something in there, but it smells funky. So we're going to drain it out. So we'll get out my pump. I got this one at AutoZone new because I left my old one somewhere in the mess in Houston. Just went to AutoZone, Tennessee and bought this. As you can see, they're simple to operate. It's a nice snap clip. You snap it in, you want it out, you push it, pull it out. Now this is the intake. And if you get confused, just do this. Pull it up, push it down. This is sucking in. When it pushes down, it sucks in. So this is the end that goes into the tank. Then the bottom is where it pumps it. And we got to put it in this empty 5-gallon drum that I bought from Houston. It's my old catalytic converter cleaner. So this is the end that comes out. The out end will go in here. Then you put the pumping end in and pump. But it's not pumping. And that's because I really can't stand the way they sell things. This came wrapped in a tiny package, right? So it's all curled up. So we got to straighten this out. Well, here's a trick. An extension bar from a socket kit and clamp it on here. My fingers aren't what they used to be. Get out a screwdriver, we'll open up the clamp. And what we want is close to the end so that it's not bent much anymore and it'll reach the bottom of the tank. There, that's pretty good. And we'll clamp it on. We don't want it too tight because we don't want to close it down. But we don't want it moving. You can see now it's not moving, and it should work now. As you can see, now it's working. Where there's a will, there's a way. American ingenuity on a Japanese motorcycle. Just keep pumping until it doesn't pump anymore. And as you can see, it's going in fine. Then when it gets near the end, you'll see it starts foaming. Just keep pumping until nothing pumps on the ore but air. Now, it doesn't even smell like gasoline anymore. It smells more like turpentine. That's what happens. It breaks down over years. That's why you want to get rid of it. But if you live in a big city, you got to find a place to get rid of it. When I was in Houston, there was the city of Houston Environmental. So one was in the north, one was in the south. I'd drive about 5 miles to take the old gasoline there. They always have to have a place to take it because they don't want people dumping it. Don't dump it in the sewers. It's explosive. Like those explosions they had years ago in Mexico City. Guys are dumping gas in the sewers and then somebody lights a cigar, throws it in. Woof. Keep it in a container. Find a place to get rid of it. Now we'll take it out. Gotta say that was a pretty good invention on my behalf. Then you get your fresh gasoline and pour it in. It's gonna take a while. And while that's happening, I'll give you a little more information. Of course, the same thing goes for cars. That's had for a while as motorcycles, but of course, motorcycles, it's a lot easier draining a small tank and refilling it. With cars, a lot of them have those baffle plates in the tank. You can't even get a siphon in to get it out. Now, if you got a Toyota, a lot of them still have drain plugs. You can drain them out that way. But you're going to have to get rid of a lot of gasoline, where this, it only pumped out a couple of gallons, so it's not that much. Now we got some nice new high-test explosive gasoline, so before we go any further, make sure you got a good fire extinguisher handy in case something happens with an old motorcycle that's been sitting. This one's good for everything, including gasoline. Sitting right next to you, ready in case you need it. And before you try starting it, make sure it's got oil in it. In this case, it's got oil in it. It was made for racing so they can check them while they're going without a dipstick. It's got oil. Don't ever start them out with no oil. You'll ruin the engine. Now this motorcycle, I set it up for racing, so it doesn't have a vacuum petcock. It's got a mechanical one. So we're going to turn it on. Forward is on. Now gas will flow to the carburetors. But since it hasn't started in a million years, we're going to use a little starting fluid. Very little in here, the intake. Give it a little crank. Got to turn the key on though. That might help. We'll spray it again. Doesn't last long. I found two amazing things. The lithium iron phosphate battery actually started it sitting all those years. They really are amazing when they're made correctly. Some companies make them pretty cheaply, but this one's pretty good. And the Japanese know how to make motorcycles. Little starting fluid, new gas, woof. And sitting all those years, it still idles pretty good. I'm gonna fiddle around with it, but hey, gotta admit, it sounds pretty good. Man, if I sat that many years, I wouldn't sound this good. Now, as you can see, it's gonna need a lot of work. I noticed the tire stem on the back is leaking, so I'm gonna have to take the tire off, get a new tire stem put on, and it needs cleaning up. Plus, it has no license plate, no insurance. It's filthy as can be, but it runs. We know it runs, and it runs pretty good. So now you know how to get an old motorcycle going that's sat for years. And you might also think of getting one of those lithium iron phosphate batteries. Sitting that many years and starting up, it amazes the heck out of me. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Taco Kenner says, Scotty, I recently purchased a 2016 Toyota Tacoma TRD off-road. Love it. But I noticed it seems to have a bit of power lag when accelerated. Online they have electronic throttle controllers or reflashing the ECM. What do you suggest? All right. Those are pretty well-designed vehicles. I would not mess with any of the software as it stands. Now, a lot of the off-road stuff, you got buttons on the vehicle that you can play with power versus better gas mileage, economy. If you got those, play around with those. As they age, and that's 5 years old, a lot of things might need a little cleaning. Watch my video. Make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. Could be your throttle has got carbon on it. The MAF sensor could have carbon. Make sure you got a clean fuel filter. If you've got real high mileage, you didn't say the mileage you have, you might try my video, how to clean fuel injectors without removal. There's a lot of stuff you can do because the software on those Toyotas is pretty well made. Now, if you're curious, get your VIN number, call a Toyota dealer and say, are there any updates to the software for fuel injection and ignition systems? They say, yeah, bring it in and they can update the software. But normally on those, it's pretty well written, and you're better off trying to see if there's anything a little bit worn or dirty. I would not mess around with reprogramming that stuff because Toyota does a pretty good job programming them in the first place, and they often don't need that. And if you mess with one of those controllers, sometimes they end up running worse. Malcolm 2 says, I got an 08 Honda Accord. The serpentine belt tensioner broke. I got the belt off, but I'm trying to get the belt back on. The tensioner came off. The molded nuts snapped off. It looks like tensioner assembly's held on with a bolt through one pulley. It's reverse threaded. The bolt is super tight. There isn't just one bolt. The tensioner assemblies have various bolts. Find them all and unbolt them. Normally, you don't have to mess with the pulley bolt. That's just to hold the pulley onto the adjustable assembly. So that you generally don't have to take off. Sometimes those are reverse threaded, but you got to get to the other two bolts that hold it in place in most cases, and they can be really stuck on, especially you said it's rusty. Well, you live in a rusty part, everything rusts on. So get a socket that fixes those bolts and bolt it on. You get a long extension bar. The longer, the better. I got super long ones. Then when you pull on them, you get all that fulcrum, like you could, what Archimedes or whoever it was said, you get a pulley long enough you can move the earth. Well, you get a long one, you can get those bolts off. Replace the whole assembly. Don't try to repair it. Don't try to change just like the pulley bearing. Replace the whole thing. Many companies sell those things. You want to replace the whole thing and you want to get it off. And if you're confused with where the bolts is, just Google it, watch a video, and you'll see somebody will have a video showing here's the two bolts you take off, and away you go. A long extension bar and a socket is the way to go when they're rusted and stuck on. Florida Chris says, hey Scotty, I'm looking at selling my Passat and getting a new Camry. What do you think about Toyota's 8-speed automatic transmission? Well, first, congratulations on becoming logical and getting rid of Volkswagen Passat. Those are junky cars. They'll fall apart. They'll be endless money pits. Their 8-speed automatic transmission is excellent. I have road tested them. They shift like a dream, and for a vehicle as quick as that Camry is, they get phenomenal gas mileage because of those 8 speeds. Toyota engineers spent a lot of time designing that stuff. It's their own design, and they're smooth, but they get fantastic gas mileage. And if you want to play with economy versus sport, you can get really good gas mileage. You can get a little zippier when you want, put it on sport, and then when you don't, put it back on economy. It's a very smart move. Now, they're not giving away. They're not giving any new cars away. And it's not like your Volkswagen. You don't have to think, oh, it's getting old, I got to get rid of it. Those things you can generally drive for 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles. Smart move. And they only need basic maintenance. They're not like Volkswagens that are real heavy maintenance. As they age, it costs a fortune to maintain and repair Volkswagens. Toyotas, no. Completely different ballgame. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.